Well, the new Pokemon game is here, and I'll be honest, it does not look very good to me. Between stickers being used as windows, a stuttery performance despite the low quality graphics, and an auto battle system where you can't even really reposition your character effectively, there's just not much in Legends ZA that appeals to me. Which is a shame, because I've always wanted a return to Kalos. The region just felt underdeveloped with the absence of Pokemon Z. But my interest in the project was starting to wane even before the announcement of a $30 DLC before the $70 game got released. No wonder future Lumio City has anti-homelessness benches. Game Freak clearly just hates poor people. Thankfully, despite the fact the dystopian future of Kalos isn't all that appealing to me, there is another way to revisit the untapped potential of Pokemon X and Y. And that is with Pokemon Z, a very ambitious fan game that presents itself as a prequel to the Gen 6 titles, set in the distant past, kind of mirroring a medieval era. I initially wanted to play this title as a joke for Pokemon ZA's release date, maybe spending an hour or two exploring the world and showing off some of the new features before shutting down and working on other projects. But whoops, the game was incredibly fun and I spent 9 hours streaming, and then it was 5 in the morning and now my sleep schedule's fucked. So I figured if it can suck me in that easily, I should probably make a video explaining my thoughts about this wonderful fan game. But before we dive into all that, if you enjoy this type of content and are interested in seeing more ROM hack videos on your dashboard, consider clicking the like and subscribe buttons. That way YouTube knows that this is your jam. I think I'm also supposed to ask you to hype the video? I don't fully know what that means, but if you do, hype the video, please. Yeah. I know it's annoying when YouTubers do the call to action at the start of a video instead of the end, but it is supposed to really help out statistically with engagement, and according to YouTube's analytics, approximately 300% of viewers are not subscribed to my channel, which means that the CEO of Google is going to come over to my house and shoot me in the head. That's probably not the most algorithmic friendly thing to leave in, but whatever, nobody watches these portions of the video anyway. Let's move on to the ROM hack review! The primary selling point of this hack is that it takes place so far in the past that the aesthetics look different than anything we've experienced in Pokemon. You first arrive to the region in a Go-Goat dragged carriage, and many of the knights will ride Go-Goats themselves, which just makes for an adorable old-school presentation. And these aesthetics are dialed up to 11 as your quest brings you into a multitude of biomes. There's a vineyard where Serena are stomping on grapes to make wine. There's a super rundown town that's been abandoned due to a plague, and a witch's coven that's on the other side of a swamp. And the very last area that I played on my stream was a steampunk-inspired mill, concluding with a fight against an automaton who served as that region's gym leader. Because yes, even though this is set in the distant past and clearly draws a lot from Legends Arceus, the main story and gameplay is much more similar to vanilla Pokemon. You travel around the region, engaging in traditional single and double battles in order to gather up your 12 gym badges. And yeah, there's 12 instead of 8. I assume that the reason for this is that the 12 gym leaders combined with the Elite Four and Champion will make up the 17 different types, so that each type has a specialist that is a dedicated boss. Although, I guess this is a good time to bring up that the fan game is currently unfinished. Only 10 of the 12 gym leaders are complete. So, while you can go through the majority of the campaign, the conclusion of the story is still not finished. But the story itself is pretty interesting. It fits in the standard Pokemon story structure with things like evil teams and rivals, but there's an interesting take on each of them. Your two rivals are deliciously hateable. You have an entitled rich girl who sees everyone as being servants below her concern, and a bizarre academic who thinks that the solution to everything is just civilized debate. Like, he legitimately tells the evil team to bait me, bro, when they have us cornered and are threatening to kill us. Speaking of which, the evil team are a bunch of alchemists who want to experiment on Pokemon in order to figure out some sort of divine power. The story does get darker than you would expect in a children's game, with them actually having to kill some Pokemon to advance their goals, but at least as far as I've gotten, it doesn't edge into the annoying, dark and gritty territory that Pokemon hacks often end up in. That being said, some of the joke dialogue is weirdly horny, especially around Pokemon and humans getting together, which, I don't know, I don't find those type of situations funny, but it wasn't enough to discourage me from engaging with the rest of the game. From a gameplay side of things, as you might expect for a Kalos-focused game, there is Mega Evolution here, and there are new Megas that are not present in the mainline games. And while this hack doesn't feature any original Fangame, it does have a bunch of regional variants of pre-existing Pokemon. And these regional variants aren't just cool reimaginings, but feel appropriate to the setting of feudal France. For example, Colosian Kricketune is a bug fighting type modeled after the Musketeers. Meanwhile, Cofagrigus is an Iron Maiden instead of an Egyptian sarcophagus, and thusly gets the Steel Dual typing. Even Porygon makes an appearance with a steampunkified redesign to reflect the fact that computers don't exist in the past. And the absence of computers means that, much like in Arceus, you get the ranch instead of the PC, and the Poke Center has been replaced with a church, which harkens back to the Final Fantasy and other RPGs where you heal at a church. It's a very cute touch, in my opinion. But ranches weren't the only thing taken from Arceus. The crafting system that was a core component of the gameplay loop has been lifted almost wholesale, so you can use materials from knocking out Pokemon to make your own Pokeballs or attract sprays or any number of other items that help you in catching new Mons. But the crafting system is also this game's replacement for HMs. For example, early on, you are met with what would normally require Rock Smash, but you can just craft explosive powder in order to go through breakable rocks. There technically is one HM that's not a part of the crafting system, and that's Fly, but that's because it's been factored into a quality of life system where you can just teleport to whatever fly point you want at any point by opening the menu. And on that same menu, you can check out which wild Pokemon are available in your current location. So anytime you arrive at a new route or city, it's very quick to determine if you want to hunt for a new encounter or stick with the team you already have. And yes, I said route or city because every single city has included grass patches and a variety of Pokemon, presumably to help with Nuzlockers. And Nuzlocke mode is an option on the main menu, as is Hardcore Nuzlocke mode. And that's not the only bit of customization that Pokemon Z has. You can choose any starter from any region, although it is recommended you start with the Kalos starters for your first playthrough since they have regional variants and new Mega Evolutions, so, I mean, that's kind of the appeal of the game, right? But if for whatever reason you're not happy with the 27 potential options we have for mainline Pokemon, you can also use Monotype mode, where you are forced to only catch Pokemon of a specific type, and you get to choose from 3 new potential starters, all fitting the Monotype that you've chosen. Truly a treasure trove of gameplay possibilities. And if that's not enough of a selling point for you, unlike any mainline Pokemon game, this unofficial fan project features voice acting. I mean, not a ton of voice acting, it's just in the opening cutscene, but that's more than any Pokemon game has. And it's really good voice acting too. It was in Spanish, so I didn't understand what was being said, but it really added to the presentation of the introduction to this new environment. But speaking of the Spanish voice acting, I should point out for my predominantly English-speaking audience, this is a hack that was originally made in Spanish. There is an English translation, although I will be the first to say the translation's a little bit rough. You can still understand everything that's going on in both story and gameplay, but some of the UI elements haven't been translated, and some of the move names are going to seem unfamiliar just because the literal translations vary from language to language. Gender in particular is a little bit fast and loose just because of how gender works differently in English and Spanish, so oftentimes there will be a woman referred to as both he and she in different parts of the sentence. And inanimate objects are frequently gendered as well, but I mean, if this is the sort of thing that you complain about, I don't know, maybe you should try learning a second language. It's pretty hard. All in all though, this was a phenomenal hack, and definitely made me feel secure in my decision to return to Kalos without giving Game Freak a dime. And speaking of money, now is the time in the video where I talk about my patrons. Thank you to Glupshido, Electric Giga, Erica Ford, YLO1, George Grenville, 7pm, Jamie Collins, Arviz, Crispy Matthews, Floahay, Amy Hazel, Faulty Videos, Kyle Madison, Derek Williams, Anna Cabana, The Daily Fugel, Faye, Magic Bite, Thoughtful Insanity, Robin Goodfeller, Ziggy WSB, Dysike, Chris, Root Beer Pants, Queen Elizam, Controlled Aegis, Roman Kormanzik, Nick Knack, Hammersmack, Carrier Has Left, Angel Nab Caceres, Cabbage, SUP, Caius Cole, Bree, Punchfighter Champion, Eggman, Maxine the Vampire Queen, Dragonback Lancer, Sardonic Muse, Wannabe Cinnabon, Lepton, Key the Iron Idol, Calamity Callie, A Non-Wanderer, A Clever Username of Lies, Jack McMahon, Saren Gurluxy, Resi, Andu, Rhea, Gameboo, Carosa, Firant, Your Doctor, Frozen Helm, Patwit, Pillow Willow, Girl Boss, Lizard Bongwater, Christopher Bueno, Marin McLean, Jaden, Reflect, Dylan Solis, Forever Lucas, Some Trades, Guiji555, Zycrom, Robin D, Alenby, Thaythom, Klon, and especially my Jagans, Shinthia, Adele, Alexander Roper, Siggy, and Serial Bowl. If you want to join this list of wonderful fellows, there is a link to my Patreon below, but please only donate if you can comfortably afford to do so. I don't want anyone going broke over Fire Emblem, or Pokemon. I mean, shit, I always close out by saying I don't want anyone going broke over Fire Emblem, but, fuck, Pokemon is $100 now, like, what the hell? I don't know. I hope you have a wonderful day. Stay safe, gamers. Fucking $100 for Pokemon.